Great show for you today. A lot of interesting things to get into. A lot of things I noticed watching a good amount of baseball over the last couple weeks, off and on. Between working on the house, God, I was just full dad mode. And we will be joined just momentarily in a couple minutes by Daniel Bard, Colorado Rockies closer for the last couple of years. Made the become. You guys know who Daniel Bard is, and we will. We're going to discuss a little bit about prospect hype and what it does to both the team and the player. This is something that I wanted to get into for a while now. We have a couple guys who were big prospects with organizations that are now starting to turn it on a little bit early in their careers, and I just thought it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about the how hype is built around players and how it might affect, and how it's kind of a crapshoot, right? To kind of guess what's going to happen, and because we live in a hype cycle, right? Every year we have the Baseball America top prospect rankings, and we have all the team rankings, and we have more and more of this stuff's happening. More guys are being popped into this stuff, and the big conversation in spring training was about the big three over in Boston. Those three guys and what impact they're going to have on the team coming in this year. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. And I want to talk about hype, the concept of hype, or the prospect hype effect in baseball. It comes in usually three different ways, or it basically plays out three different ways. One, it's a can't miss. We got Bryce Harper, prime example of a guy who came up, blew through the minor leagues, then was Rookie of the Year and has won a bunch of MVPs since. I would say Bryce Harper is a prime example of a super hyped prospect. This is him in high school at 17, or this is him actually in college at 17 because he graduated a year early, right? It was that kind of hype. I don't know if you guys lived through it, or if everyone here is old enough to remember this, but I remember this because I was not in the big leagues, but I was in professional baseball watching this kid come up. I would say he's worked out so far. And then you get the guys who maybe struggle a little bit at the beginning and then eventually figure it out. Jurickson Profar. He was, a lot of you guys may not know this, but he was a top prospect, number one prospect in baseball for a couple years, actually, with the Texas Rangers. He got up. He was an infielder, struggled to kind of establish himself there. He played okay towards the end of his career there, but eventually found some success with the San Diego Padres. Now, there's some extenuating circumstances around that, but even before that, he was a big league level player, even if it was just maybe slightly above replacement level. Is what it is, but you're a big leaguer. Like, you're a guy who's good enough to be in the big leagues. He is a good example of it. And then we have other guys who you might not even know who this person is, but they were a big deal when I was with the Phillies. This is Dominique Brown. So Dom is a great dude. I loved him as we never played with each other. He was always a couple years ahead of me. But in 6 years in the major leagues with the Phillies, 1,500 at-bats, he accrued 0.7 WAR. Now, he's 6'5", 225, physical specimen, can hit the ball a mile, and for whatever reason, it just didn't work out, and he just couldn't really get it going. He had a couple pretty good years, and actually his career stats aren't too bad, but he just so happened to be with an organization that was kind of, at that point, they had just rattled off a bunch of playoff series, and then they were kind of trying to rebuild, and he kind of got caught in that. I think that's part of the circumstances, but Dominique Brown was a number one prospect in baseball and kind of just hung on for a little bit, and then just never really kind of coalesced into that star that everyone thought he would be. And it's interesting, like what's the difference between these three guys, and why is Bryce Harper? I mean, obviously there's a talent difference, right? There's always going to be a level of talent, but it comes down to how do you handle the hype, because these were all guys talked about on the internet that we're really excited for. Every organization's different, and I think there's some circumstances that are part of that, and I myself lived through it a little bit. Now, you guys may not know this, but I am part of the baby aces. When I was drafted by the Philadelphia Phillies in 2008, they just came off, or I was drafted, and then that year they won the World Series. behind the Cole Hamels. It was Cole. Who was it? Cole Hamels, Kyle Kendrick, Joe Blanton, two other guys. And in the next few years, they signed Roy Halladay. They got Roy Oswalt. They got Cliff Lee. They kept adding these studs from other teams. And so they had this recurring 5-start rotation. So they always wanted to call us. They called them the Aces, and they wanted to call us in the minors the Baby Aces. And in that group, this is Clearwater Threshers. Me, myself, Brody Colvin, Jared Kosar. We were 3. And then there was we were like a boy band. We had revolving other members. Julio Rodriguez was in there. Other Julio. He threw a rise ball before we knew what it was. There was also Jonathan Pettibone would be thrown in there. He got some big league time with the Phillies for a while before his shoulder gave out on him. And I think there was another person thrown in there from time to time. But this was a big thing happening on the internet. And I'll be honest, I was plugged in the internet. I was very, very aware of it. And in that time, I remember feeling a lot of pressure from this label. And I was like the number 1 prospect going in 2012, then pitched terribly, and then was quickly traded. So it wasn't, I think back on it now, and I'm always like, hey, was that good? Was it good that I was hyped this way? Or was it detrimental to my development? And at the end of the day, I think it depends on the guy. And this is something that I'm going to get into it with Barty here in a moment, is the types of things traits that guys have that maybe represent someone who could handle hype a little bit better than others. Me, for example, I always put the big leagues on such a high pedestal. I know I am an anxious dude, and I'm a people pleaser, and I just want to prove myself all the time. But sometimes I get overwhelmed by the size of things. That is not a good equation for getting to the major leagues in general, and especially if you have a bunch of extra pressure put on you. Okay, we see a lot of this happening with discrepancies in how guys are performing as well. Jared Kelenick's a great example. He was just sent back down to AAA, to Gwinnett for the Braves. Ronald Acuna Jr. is the opposite. He was highly touted, got up, and was immediately good. I think when it comes to hype, it's one of the biggest factors is up here. And it's hard to quantify, but guys like Bryce Harper knew he was going to be an all-star from the moment he was 12. Now, that could put a lot of pressure on you, and if you get hurt or something, it's hard to come back from that. Fortunately, he never did, but that inherent confidence he's carried with him, right? But the problem with that is if you stumble, you're running so fast. I think about it this way. You're sprinting so fast and a small pedal trips you up. Sometimes it's hard to get up and get back to that speed. So sometimes it's good to go under the radar to allow yourself to grow as a player. So there's 2 guys right now that I think one is more of a close situation. Maybe if you're not a big fan of this team, you weren't probably as aware of him as others. And then we got the one that was a big deal for the whole league, and they're currently playing much better than they did in their rookie seasons. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, no matter what kind of brain you have up here, sometimes it just takes more time. They get comfortable. It takes a little bit longer for them to get comfortable. I was also one of those guys. I think that's why I was so bad when I got called up. So, first guy we're going to talk about, Jackson Holliday. Now, if you look at his stat lines here, it's not crazy different, but it is better, much better. He is slowly but surely improving over time. And I think that eventually, it might take 2 or 3 years. Eventually, he will become a very, very good big league player because he still has the tools, and you see it. You see the strikeouts come down really fast. You see the batting average and the OPS going up. He's up over 100 points on both. Those are the types. This is incremental improvement. This is a young guy who got up when he was very young. And not only did he get up when he was very young, he looked really young. So he even looked younger than he was. It looked like an 18-year-old trying to get into the big leagues for the first time. Right? So, patience. Now, he got a lot of flack because he struck out like every at-bat when he got to the big leagues. A lot of hype. His dad's Matt Holliday. His little brothers might be a one of one as well, one overall. like there's a lot of like I got to live up to my name here, and I don't know him personally. I know, and I don't think he's ever said anything publicly about this because why would you? But that definitely was part of it. You had and baseball's so heavily like attached to luck as well that you might just get unlucky as well, and then it feels like you're not as good as you thought you were, and that could be hard to overcome, especially over when you're in such a big spotlight. But I'm glad he's back up, and I'm glad he's improving. Another guy that I played with in his rookie year, Tyler Soderstrom, your current, well, he's no longer leading the major leagues in home runs, I don't believe, because of Suarez, but he's got 9 homers this year. And my God, those statistics are getting so much better. Let me give you some of these. He's hitting 292 with a 970 OPS and 9 homers. I mean, this was stats up to Saturday, by the way. But his rookie year, 2023 with us, I mean, I know the A's weren't being very closely watched by anybody, but like he was really struggling. He struggled to put the ball in play. Like he was just rolling over or striking out. It was a tough look. And I knew he was getting frustrated. It was very clear this kid knows how to hit. His playing time is getting a little spotty to him. Like if you play him every day, he's going to be good. And look what's happening. He's playing every day, and he's comfortable, and he's gotten his feet wet, and now he's turning into the hitter that everyone thought he could be. This kid was a huge prospect with Geloff when they both came up. They were the 1 and 2, or I think 2 and 3 prospect in the organization. This is just a prime example. So we got to give these guys time. Sometimes you just got to give them time, and sometimes there's luck involved. But I think that people are really quick to jump on them, and it's always fascinating to me because guys with talent like this sometimes just need to get the feeling that they can fail just for a little bit amount of time. It's just get some space to where not only will they fail, when they fail, they're not going to get decimated as they fail. And I feel like that's what happened to Jackson Holiday. And it's just like he was getting buried. And the only way to prevent this from becoming lasting damage where his confidence is hurt forever in the major league level was to send him back down to AAA. They did the same thing with Sodi last year, and now he's here and he's hitting absolute tanks, which I love to see. So, without further ado, I'd like to bring in our guest today, Daniel Bard, currently. Okay. Danny Bard. Where is he? Oh, I see him. There he is. Bardy, what up, man? Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate the time. What's up, man? What are you up to right now?
I am as soon as we get off this call, I'm jumping in the car to go to a little league playoff game. So
that's stuff.
Most of my life right now.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait for that to happen. Just get me past the teething. I was talking about that earlier. I got to get past teething. Fortunately, I think I'm in for a tough road here at the beginning. Well, Barty, I know that, for those of you who don't know, I had Barty on the Diamond Pod. We got to get into depth on the mental side of the game, a lot of the work you've done, even the book you're working on in behind the scenes. Any updates on that? Do we have a date yet, or are we still kind of working through it?
It's a bigger process than I would imagine, but we're getting there. It's one step at a time.
That is what I hear. Okay, so you've done a ton of work on the mental side. We went into depth. You guys should check out that episode if you haven't yet. But I want to pick your brain because we're talking. I've been looking at these young guys that, with the nature of the internet now too, hype is just crazy, right? Even more so than when we were coming up. And you're a guy, I think any ex-player that I could think of that would have a good perspective on this, it's you. Coming up as a hyped prospect, what are some of the negative effects you think having that awareness and then getting to the major leagues? How much more pressure could be put on that guy than the guy who maybe wasn't expecting to get up or nobody knew who he was when he got up?
Yeah, no, it's I definitely felt it. It was a different environment. This was 20 years ago, when I got drafted 19 years ago. So it's changed a lot. We didn't have social media, thank God. But we did have, and I came up with the Red Sox, who their fan base is obsessed with their, sorry, there he is. Their fan base. All right,
I'm hungry.
We'll get you some food.
Get that kid some food.
All right, guys, give me a minute. We got a future Sox right there. There he is.
The next one's right there. Full unis already. That's awesome.
El Prospecto. So yeah, I mean the environment was way different, but coming up with the Red Sox, they have an obsessive fan base. So like the fans knew who I was,
Mhm.
People just relied on Baseball America, and shoot, that was about it. But there was enough fans, I guess, that kind of paid attention to those things that it was, you still felt it. You felt it coming up. You felt it, the autograph seekers hitting you up in the minors, and yeah, I mean, kind of everybody knows who got the signing bonuses. It's kind of hard to keep it a secret.
And you think that puts maybe a little bit more pressure on not only getting there, but like the speed at which you get there, and then once you get there, to establish yourself faster than other people?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I felt it. I think there's guys who are able to kind of block it off and take the pressure and the notoriety and the money that you just got and kind of put that aside. Hey, I'm still just a baseball player and I'm going to go do my job. I didn't find it that easy. I found it as, okay, people know who I am. They gave me this chunk of money and I'm expected to go do really good things. And it's not that easy. And, you put the pressure of trying to be perfect or trying to live up to that hype as quick as possible, especially when you see guys in your own draft class, like kind of passing you. And you're like, oh, they picked me ahead of him. I'm supposed to be better than him. And that's tough.
It can be tough. You made a great point there, that some guys handle it better than others. If you were, say you're meeting a kid, right? You're a scout. Let's just put you as a scout. You're meeting a kid and you're watching him play and you can talk to him for a little bit. What are some of the things that you think, and I have a couple opinions myself on this, but what are some things that you think maybe are indicators of a kid being able to block that stuff out, maybe be a little bit better at putting that in a box and going out and playing? What types of things would you want to see?
I look at guys like, Paul Skeens is probably like the most hyped guy that just literally went from super prospect to Cy Young contender in like less than a year. And that's really impressive to me. The stuff, we all saw it in college. Like there was no denying that stuff is going to play in the big leagues. He threw enough strikes. He threw 4 pitches. But people asked me about him before he got to the big leagues. Is it going to work out? I'm like, heck yeah, as long as he doesn't like crumple under the pressure of being such a high pick. And he didn't. I didn't expect him to, and he's lived up to the hype, and it's not that easy. I think you're seeing I think college baseball has gotten, such a big spotlight on it. That's actually probably helped. These guys have such a big following, and they're on TV almost every game. So we didn't have that. We'd play 1 or 2 games on TV a year. It was a big deal if you got to Omaha and you had to play on ESPN. But for the most part, getting to the big leagues was the big stage. It was by far the biggest stage you'd ever been on. And I do think playing in the SEC or the ACC kind of sets you up pretty well to be ready for a lot of attention.
You make a great point. I think it was Vinny Pasquantino who told me that playing in the college, or maybe even the super regional, he was like, it was so intense that I was like, man, does it get crazier than this? He goes, he's been played in big league playoff games now, and it was earlier, but it was comparable. He goes, and I told him that's not been like that forever. That is a newer thing, especially at the super regional, like before the College World Series. So, and I feel like they're all on social media too. Like all these people have their own social media brands as well too. So they're putting themselves out there. They're doing it purposefully, and that could set you up to at least be used to getting the attention because you're already getting it. I don't want to keep you too long because I know you got a playoff game to get to, and the guys seem ready. I wanted to ask you about after you were in the big leagues, especially maybe let's talk about it from the Colorado side of things. You're the vet. I was the vet too. My last couple of years, and you have the prospects coming in to the clubhouse. You have the new guys that you have been hearing about. Despite your best efforts, you can't help it, but you're constantly hearing about these new kids coming up in your organization. How did the I guess view of those guys coming in change over your career? Because you had a big window. I'm sure right at the beginning, we're not even going to talk to the kid and make him earn it. But then later, I feel like let's get this guy comfortable as possible so he can be good. How did that change over your time playing?
Yeah, I definitely came up in the era where if you said something or did something that a veteran didn't like they were going to let you know on the bus in front of everybody, for sure, you know, in front of the whole clubhouse, in front of the media, sometimes, like, however they can embarrass you the most. And there's still like a small element of that left, I think, but I think there's a lot more of, at least what I saw with our group was more, and maybe we did it wrong. Maybe that's why we were very good while I was there. But it was more, hey, pull the guy aside, have a conversation, maybe make fun of him in front of a smaller group of 3 or 4 guys, you know, more close-knit group, you know, whether that's the bullpen or the batting cage, like, you know, the guys you're kind of close with. I think that's good for building, you know, camaraderie and building the team up. Is kind of that good-natured stuff. I think the days of like completely trying to embarrass somebody to the point where they don't perform that night seems to be kind of moved past in most places. The only time I think you might see it is when a veteran's like sees a guy about to take his job. You know, his career's going this way, and you see this other guy who's having a ton of success, and he's about to take over. You know, it's unfortunate because I think those guys need to just see their time coming. Can't perform, like, it's not that young kid's fault. You know, if he doesn't do the job, somebody else is going to. So I do think those days are kind of moving past.
Yeah, I agree with you. You make a great. That's an interesting observation. That, yeah, sometimes I think it comes. Baseball is a game of salt. It's almost a way to pass the time complaining about things. So like it can bleed into complaining about your teammates, and you see guys taking your job. That's just never ends. It's just it's the cycle of life. Barty, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I know you're busy, so
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man, and tell the guys good luck in their game.
Let's do it again soon, man.
All right, absolutely. Daniel Bard, thank you so much, man. Barty joined I love talking to Barty whenever he's willing to come on. It was really nice of him to come on. So to wrap it all up, be nice to the kids. It's just an interesting kind of behind the scenes thing. These things are always happening. Every team handles it differently, but I will say, in conclusion, my hot take on this entire situation, yes, there is more, I think, eyes on young guys to go and perform and to be the best version of themselves immediately. But I think with the added scrutiny that is going early and earlier and earlier in people's lives, that they could be more used to it. So that combined with how clubhouses have changed, and basically you look over and be like, development is so good in amateur baseball and in the minors that you look over and be like, that guy's probably better than a lot of guys on our team. So we want him to be as good as he can be as quickly as possible because we actually want to be good. And so I think it's a net positive, and I think we're going to see more guys that are hyped pan out closer to their potential than the other way, even though it seems logically that it could go. Yeah.